Today we're talking about how to start an LLC in Massachusetts. And what you're looking at behind me here is I'm casting a checklist. This is a living, breathing Notion doc here. And we're going to be going through a lot of different items here on exactly how to walk you through on setting up your LLC. But more importantly, making sure that you don't fall victim to the LLC dumpster fire. Now, that is something that I've come up with based on certain things that people are unaware of. So if you're not familiar with terms such as piercing the corporate veil, registered agents, commingling funds, pass-through taxation, how the LLC renewal process works, and then also business licenses and permits, we're going to be covering all of that in this video series. And it's so important that before we even get into those things, that you understand what an LLC actually does for your business. So we're going to zoom out and talk about that. And then we're going to zoom in on these specific topics, and we're also going to show you how to set up your LLC in Massachusetts. Now, to get started, why don't we open this up right here, and we'll start with this one right here, understanding exactly what your LLC does. Now, it's an acronym that stands for Limited Liability Company, and that's what it's meant to do, is to limit your liability. It offers limited liability protection and also pass-through taxation, which we're going to explain right now. Now, this one right here, this drop-down, this is an example of owning a coffee shop without an LLC. What does that look like? Now, what you can see here is we have a business owner, but everything is connected to that business owner, his personal home, personal car, personal bank account. But then on the business side, you have the cafe, the point of sale, the business bank account, the lights, the espresso machine. Everything is directly connected to that business owner, which creates a lot of liability. Now, if you were to own that same coffee shop, but it's an LLC that you own that owns the coffee shop, it looks very different. Now you can see the business owner has his personal assets, and then we have something we're calling Acme Coffee LLC, and all those business assets are within that LLC. This red division in the middle is really important to understand. That is something called the corporate veil. Now, that corporate veil is what's providing the protection. So if you were to unfortunately be sued, the person suing you can only come after your business assets and not your personal assets as well. Now, earlier in the video, the first term we talked about was called piercing the corporate veil. So why don't we talk about that right now? Basically what that means is, in the scenario somebody's suing you, they got hurt in their coffee shop, right? They're going to hire an attorney. That attorney is going to try to pierce the corporate veil. What they're doing is they're trying to look for cracks within your LLC. Maybe it wasn't set up correctly. Maybe you didn't renew it properly. Maybe you don't have a proper registered agent, these types of things. So if they are able to find a crack and the judge agrees with them and they allow them to pierce the corporate veil, that is when they can come after your business and personal assets. That is why it's so important to understand all of this stuff. Now, what I want to do now is go into an explanation of pass-through taxation. We'll circle back to items with the piercing the corporate veil, because you're going to see we're just going to be talking about these things that are common pitfalls that people have because they don't take the time like you're doing right now to truly understand what an LLC is. All right, pass-through taxation, Acme Coffee LLC. All right, your first year of business, you grossed $140,000, you had expenses of $90,000, and a net income of $50,000. This does not really impact your setting up of your LLC, but I want you to understand how tax time works when you get there. The IRS is not taxing Acme Coffee LLC. What they're doing is this $50,000 in net income is passing through to the business owner. Sometimes this is called flow-through taxation. You may hear it as well. You can just remember that this is flowing through, passing through to the business owner, and the IRS is taxing the individual. Just wanted to make you aware of that because it's a little bit different if you get into different business models, like a C corporation or something like that. But that is what pass-through taxation is. Now, what we're going to do is work through a checklist to start your LLC. The first thing on the checklist here is to get this for yourself and explore the bonus section and the glossary. Why don't we start with the glossary first, because that's pretty easy. These are just extra terms on here that you may not be familiar with that we're going to be highlighting. So if there's anything that I say in this video that you're not familiar with, it's going to be in the glossary of terms. But then a really cool thing is in the bonus section, we have an AI chatbot. Now, in this right here, I can do something like how to start an LLC in Massachusetts. And this chatbot is going to give you a detailed list. As also, if there's things like how do I register an EIN? There's a lot of different questions that you can ask the chatbot. It's just a nice, helpful resource for you specific to your state. There's a free charitable opportunity. We're going to get into that more in the next video, that if you do decide to go with online LLC services, there's an additional $20 to charity, but we'll get into that in the next video. Yearly accounting calendar, super important. Again, this is all stuff that's going to be explained in future videos here, but I just wanted to make you aware of all this, that this is available for you. And you're going to see the QR code on the screen that you can scan to get that, or there'll be a link in the description below. The first thing you need to do is decide which route you're going to go. You're going to go through a state site, an online LLC service, or an attorney. The next video in this series is deep diving on this topic, but the 30,000 foot view right now. Basically what you need to know is when you go through the state site, the pros are there's not a lot of upsells. They may upsell you on like expedited processing, but that's really about it. They won't sell you business banking, or they won't, pitch you on like a website service or how to get your domain or how to set up your domain email and all that kind of things. But it's also a downside because when you go with the online LLC services, there's a lot of upsells, but those are also helpful features. They also even have things such as like payment portals where you can set up like text to pay for your clients and those kind of things. The state website is not going to help you with that. Now, if you go with an attorney, it's going to be by far your most expensive route. The state, the online LLC services, I should mention, most of them have a free plus state fee package, and then they just kind of go up from there. So it can kind of be a similar price from the state website. But then the attorney route is going to be the most expensive. But if you have a special, unique situation, you have a business partner, you're already making $50,000 in net income a year, things like this, you may want to consider an attorney. In this video, what we're going to do though is we're going to walk through the state website route and just kind of cover everything you need to know. You need to decide on a business name for your LLC. What I'll say on this one is a lot of people really kind of, they blow it out of proportion. They think they got to get the perfect name. The truth is that you can have an LLC like Acme Coffee LLC, but then you can have a DBA, doing business as, or a fictitious name. And that is what is the brand name that the public will see. So let's say you go with Espresso Yourself Cafe, that can live as a fictitious name or a DBA underneath the LLC. So what's more important is when you're naming your LLC is it has to be a unique name. So in this next section here, search availability of your business name. Now, if you're struggling coming up with a name, I'd highly suggest go to like tools like ChatGPT and start asking it questions and helping you to brainstorm. Super helpful. Now, we clicked on this resource link, and then we're going to go down to Massachusetts. And then what you want to do here is enter a name. Now, if you're in Massachusetts and you go with Patriots, right? And then I search this, what you're going to see here is there's going to be a lot of entity names. There's a good chance that that name could be taken within your business category. But if I do something like this, and I just go like this, right, and do something crazy, what you're going to find is that there's no records found. Try new search criteria. It's a little red indicator up there, but that is what you're looking for. You're looking for a unique name that has not been taken in your business category. So now let's say that you found the unique name. You're ready to get started setting up your LLC. What we're going to do here is the first step you can do is you can register your LLC name a lot of times before you write your articles of organization. Now, why would you do that? These are two different things, and I think the best way to explain this is kind of like setting up a website. Maybe you don't have the time or resources to actually build a website today, but you know the domain name you want, and you buy that domain name so you can secure it. You can do the same thing when you're setting up your LLC. You can register just the LLC name, and then later you can file the articles of organization, which we're going to talk about right now. These bullet points really go into all the details of what goes into that paperwork. If you're not familiar, the articles of organization is the document that you fill out. You pay the fee to the state for filing, and that is what sets up your LLC. So again, you can go here, click on Massachusetts. All right, we're zooming in here. Federal identification number. What that is it's similar to an EIN, an employer identification number, which we're going to get to in a little bit in this video. But then we have the exact name of the limited liability company, which we just talked about, and you've researched that it's available. Street address of where it'll be maintained. General character of the business. What is the business about? What does it do? Latest date of dissolution, if specified. Dissolution is when you actually close an LLC. We're not doing that here. All right, the name and street address of the resident agent in the Commonwealth. In Massachusetts, they actually call it a resident agent. And then what that is it's a third party that handles important communication and documentation for your business. Now, in the example of you being sued as the coffee shop owner, what they're going to get is a service of process notice. That is a official documentation saying that you're being required to appear at court. They're going to make sure that you get that documentation, that you have all your documents that you need when you're showing up to court. So you can understand why the resident agent is important for your business. Two rules about it. They have to have a physical address in the state of Massachusetts, and it cannot be a PO box. So just know that when you're putting this in here. A lot of people prefer to go with the LLC services because they can provide the resident agent for you. Again, this is where the state kind of falls short. They just say, who is it? They don't actually give you options. One of the cool things in the next video we'll talk about is one of the services actually provides it to you for free for the first year, but we're going to be talking about that in the next video in this series. The name of the business address is different from office location. The name and business address is a different office location, each person and additional managers. Most people setting up their first LLC, probably just going to be you. If you have a partner, you have like different locations, that's where you may want to be talking to an attorney because you have more of a complex situation. And then additional matters signed by consent of resident agent, right? And then effective date when this is going to go into effect. So that's everything that you're going to do. And then you're going to file this, and you're going to pay a fee to the state to do this. Unfortunately, Massachusetts is a little bit more expensive of a state. It's going to cost you $500 as of making this video in 2024 to file with the state. But there's no way around that fee. You're going to pay it if you go through the state, online tools, or an attorney. Just be aware of that. Now, once you assign what in your case will be a resident agent, you'll file your articles of organization with the state. And then what you're going to do is create and sign an LLC operating agreement. An LLC operating agreement is one of those situations where an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Now, let's use the coffee shop example again. Let's say that you have a business partner for that. You guys blow it up. You have 25 locations. And then one day your business partner decides that they want to leave the business. How much should that person get when they leave? Well, if you haven't spelled that out in an operating agreement, you're going to go through a lot of litigation, and it's going to get really expensive to figure these things out. An operating agreement will spell out who the partners of the business are, what their roles and responsibilities are, and it can even handle things such as like exit strategies, like how do you pay out based on certain situations. It's always a good idea, but in the state of Massachusetts, they do not require that you have an operating agreement to get your LLC set up. Now, after LLC formation, you need to set up your EIN. Now, we talked about this earlier, so this is a IRS link here, free for you to do. In your situation, since you need the EIN, you need the resident agent to sign the paperwork, it may make more sense in your state to go with an online tool. And the reason for that is they can set up the EIN and do all those things in the right sequence for you. But if you want to do it yourself, you can do it here. The employer identification number is essentially like a social security number for your business. What that does is it allows the IRS to identify your business, but when you run payroll, you're going to need an EIN. If you're applying for a business bank account or you're going, let's say, for a loan or insurances, your business looks more legit when you have something like an EIN already set up as opposed to providing your social security number. So it's a good idea to just get that set up day one and get that taken care of. Next, what you'll want to do is obtain business licenses and permits for your LLC. This is a helpful SBA resource that you can check out. I'm not going to get into it right now, but I would suggest going here and actually putting in Massachusetts and reading the resources here for your area. The easiest way to explain this one is, let's say that you were opening up a brewery. Now, a brewery, you are making beer, you're distributing beer, and maybe you're serving beer in your location. All of those things may require different licenses and permits, and those may be required on the federal level, the state level, and then also your local municipality level. So that could be your own town or city. They may require you to have a permit to serve alcohol. What I recommend is you can certainly Google this. You can also call your town clerk and start from the very smallest area and work up from there. But also the LLC services available to you online. A lot of them will do this research for you for an additional fee if you're nervous that you might be missing out on a certain license and permit. A lot of businesses don't require it, but if you're going to be medical, like a dentist or a chiropractor, maybe you're opening up a construction company, these are the types of things that may be required. Now, what we're going to do in the next video is we're going to get into this cost calculator. It's actually embedded on this page here. I'm not going to show it to you right now. You got to watch the next video. But down to the dollar, you'll know what it costs to own and operate an LLC in Massachusetts for 5 years. We're going to be covering these star ratings, comparing your different options of going the state website, LLC Services Online, or business attorney. We're going to talk about why the state website can become a pain, and it has to do with domestic versus foreign LLCs. We're going to be covering that. And then we're going to deep dive on questions worth asking if you should go with a business attorney based on these questions. And again, I highly suggest you check that out because there are certain situations you're going through with the business attorney as recommended. Again, I'll mention to get this checklist for yourself, there's a link in the description below, and I'll catch you in the next video.